Powershot S95 disassemble start. If you remove the screws on the bottom and sides and remove the back body, the liquid crystal will come out. Remove the screw near the lower right of the LCD and remove the metal frame holding LCD. The making of this area is the same as the S90/S100/S110 series. A series that takes advantage of macro performance that can still be used. It's hard to come off, but it's just clumsy. If you forcibly turn it upward, it will bend. Carefully remove the protrusions on the metal frame as they are caught. Be cautious when working while not wanting to break the LCD. It finally came off. It is safer to work carefully than to work in a hurry and destroy it. Plug off the LCD backlight connector. I will remove LCD, but this model may be a little difficult compared to the S100/S110 series. Since LCD cable is under LCD unit, LCD floats. There is a claw on the side of the LCD unit, so avoid it and float it. Be careful as the LCD cable will break if you use too much force. It is safer to work while checking patiently and slowly. Why did Canon design this way? Was it unavoidable to make it smaller? A mystery. Let's work while thinking about delicious supper without rushing slowly. When floating the LCD, check the direction and cable arrangement. Be careful when releasing the actuator of the connector because it is in a slightly recessed part. If you release it, the cable will come off, but since the space is narrow, pull out the cable from the connector while considering the amount of force so as not to damage the surroundings or the cable. When the LCD comes off, remove the lower screw and remove the front body. There is also a screw under the USB connector cover, so remove it and remove the front body. Since it is caught by the claw other than the screws, lightly pry the gap so as not to damage it with a pick. Normally, it comes off in this state, but this time it does not come off. The reason is this. Since the lens was slanted and stretched, the lens ring was caught and did not come off. Do not remove the front body vigorously. Since the cable for the lens ring function is connected, it can be easily disconnected. When the front body floats, listen to the state of the cable through the gap and plug it off so that it does not break. Prepare to remove the top body. Also remove the screws for fixing the lens and strobe. If you remove the extra screws, small parts may fall on the floor, which is troublesome, so check carefully before removing. There are also hard screws, so be careful not to damage them. Some people use an electric screwdriver, but the screws on the digital camera are small, so it is safer to turn them by hand. Removing the screws that cannot be turned is a very difficult task. Is it possible to break it by shaving it with a drill smaller than the diameter of the screw? Remove the upper right screw and remove the upper body. Upper body separation completed. Plug off the strobe cable. Remove the strobe unit. Do not touch the strobe capacitors and cables. It hurts when I get an electric shock. Remove the screws to remove the lens unit. It is troublesome to remove the screws that are not related to the lens unit, so check carefully before removing. Even if the parts are about to come off, do not rush and proceed with the work while checking the presence of cables and screws. The cable on the rear control panel extends to the front, so float it so that it does not break. Plug off the cable that extends forward. Can see where the lens unit is connected to the board. Plug off the lens unit cable. The screw of the lens unit has been removed so it can be easily removed. The lens unit is separated and the unit level disassembly is complete. Disassemble the lens. Plug out the wiring from inside the lens. Since it is a connector without an actuator, pull the hard part while being careful not to break it. A connector without an actuator is cheaper, so it can't be helped. It's quite hard and won't come off. I finally plugged it out. But even if I plugged out one, there was another. The second one is also hard. There is a hole in the middle of the wiring, so point to the toothpick and pull it. It's no good, so challenge with harder tweezers. We are putting all our strength into it right now. Please wait a moment. What? This? I deny the stupid power in my usual work, but this time I need the Incredible Hulk. It turns out that I can't plug out straight. Move to Plan B. Shake from left and right of connector operation. A method of grasping the connector part of the cable alternately from the left and right and shifting it little by little with all the strength of the body. Why am I so smart? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. More haste, less speed. Move mountains. Continuity is the father of success. It is very hard like that. It's too hard. Which manufacturer's connector is it? Mollux, JST? Hold it tight and keep it. I feel the enthusiasm of the connector to keep it even if it dies. There is something to see if this connector was human. But now it's just annoying. Currently, this connector seems to be discontinued, so I wonder if it was unpopular. I did it. Finally plug out. Successful operation. It was a difficult battle. The lid will not open unless you remove the cable from the pedestal, so release the part where the cable is fixed. Since the sensor etc. are glued, remove the side of the reinforcing plate by scraping it a little. When removing the sensor, insert a thin object such as tweezers into a small hole on the side instead of the reinforcing plate and pull the crotch of the sensor. Otherwise, the sensor will come off the cable. Peel off the adhesive well. Let's work steadily without rushing. No strength is required here. Also remove the sensor on the other side.
Fast forward because it is the same work.
Since the cable is stretched, remove the others, loosen it, and try again.
Fast forward because it is the same work.
I'm still disconnecting the cable. There are not many such troublesome models. Remove the sensor for the focus motor. The cable is no longer in the way, so remove the screw. There is something like a nail around the motor, so pry it off. Finally the lid opened. Extend the lens to avoid internal cables. After retracting the internal cable, shrink the lens and remove the internal cylinder. Then pull out the barrel inside. Marks and tapes are attached so that the orientation does not become loose when reassembling. Remove the aperture and camera shake unit. Let's know the direction of the cable when reassembling. The aperture unit is held in the left hand, and the camera shake unit is held in the right hand. In most cases, you can find the cause of the lens error by disassembling so far. I think the lens error is usually a broken cable in the aperture unit. If you measure the motor resistance and sensor resistance with a tester and it does not stop easily without resistance, I think it is suspicious. If not, maybe the base cable. The last is the camera shake unit cable. If you drop it, the resin part may crack or debris may just bite into the gear. If you drop it on a sandy beach, sand may get stuck between the lens barrels. Well, blowing or warming it doesn't help. If you forcibly push in the extended lens, the gear and the barrel of the base will break, so it is safe not to do it. If there is nothing wrong with the lens, it may be due to corrosion, damage, poor contact, or defective board. When submerged, the substrate is often corroded. If the power is turned on without drying it sufficiently, a short circuit may occur and the IC or diode may be damaged. Finding the location of the failure is quite difficult. Please do your best.